Mr. Grant Davis to ask the next question.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, on a personal note, can I say how proud I was on Remembrance Day to see the three primary representatives of the government, namely the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary, being from minority communities for the first time in history. And I think this sends a very strong message to Britain and to the world about equal opportunity and how we will put out the hand of friendship. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'll take that.
And secondly, I do very much welcome the new tone that you're showing in terms of mutual trust and goodwill as a way forward to broker deals, which I've got to say, I think is very refreshing after a lot of sabre rattling and no progress. So moving on to the questions on Northern Ireland. The situation, of course, is that Britain voted for Brexit. Britain, as such, didn't vote to lead the single market as such. They voted for Brexit, and of course Northern Ireland did neither. And it does strike me that the Northern Ireland has enormous benefit from being in the single market in terms of inward investment, both from the UK to have access to the single market, biggest market in the world, and for foreign inward investment. And I wonder why the government isn't doing more to promote those opportunities to all the communities in Northern Ireland, alongside trying to negotiate with the EU for less border checks, so that there's easier trade from Britain in terms of logistics. We're talking about pork pies and this other thing before there, but also British companies have the confidence to invest in the EU, in essence, through the Northern Ireland, to bring prosperity to Northern Ireland and help reduce some of the inflamed tensions we've got between the communities.
Well, so first of all, I'm going to take slight issue with how you've defined how we voted. The UK voted as a single entity when it came to the referendum in 2016, and the UK's collective decision was to leave the European Union.
So if I may, I was talking about the political union versus the single market.
Sure.
But people I spoke to, I've got to say, in Swansea, who voted to leave, they said to me, well, we want to be in the single market, the customs union, but we don't want to have political control, so we're happy to Brexit, we want to stay in the single market. So there's a bit of confusion out there, but there's certainly not clarity.
Well, look, I've looked back because when I was a minister at the Department for Accessing the European Union, there was a lot of conversation about what people did or did not vote for in the 2016 referendum. So on one level, the decision was quite straightforward. It was the decision on the ballot paper. And I've had a lot of people saying, people did vote for the single market, they didn't vote for this. One of the things that there was a point in time when most people had no idea what the single market was, what the customs union was, what the difference between the two was. They were asked whether they wanted to leave, and the UK said, we want to leave. Now, we, as politicians and members of the government, we have got to deal with the practicalities of that decision, and we are doing that. You do make a good point about the importance of Northern Ireland's economic prosperity, and I can absolutely assure you and anyone from Northern Ireland that's watching, we hold that very, very close to our hearts. It is part of the government's levelling up agenda that every part of the UK sees economic growth, and we will be making decisions both in terms of Northern Ireland and in terms of the rest of the UK to make that a reality. There are some businesses in Northern Ireland that are very, very happy with the protocol, but as I say, there are some businesses that are really, really struggling, and struggling is the wrong word, whose business, their business functions are being made either impossible or unprofitable because of the functioning of the protocol. And I don't think any of us in politics would feel comfortable saying, well, you're doing well, you're doing well, you're doing well, but frankly, I'm quite happy to watch your business go under because most of us are doing okay. In politics, we always keep an eye out for the underdogs or for the ones being least successful. And currently, we are being told, and it's been recognised in Ireland as well as in the UK, that there are some types of business where it's becoming so logistically challenging that those businesses are just not able to continue conducting business. And we have to stay focused on them, as well as protecting the businesses that are able to transact.
I guess my point would be that something like 1 in 4 businesses in the UK who were exporting to the EU have given up. Our trade with the EU is 15% down. Those businesses could relocate to Northern Ireland and easily trade with the EU and make loads of money and help the economy. So why aren't you encouraging that? We've signed the protocol. It's a legal requirement under international law. Why don't we make it work so the people of Northern Ireland can see the benefits of it rather than moaning about it all the time?
Well, but again, I mean, even if there were a significant relocation of UK businesses to that particular part of the UK, that doesn't alter the fact that there are currently businesses that were transacting in Northern Ireland, UK businesses that had outlets in Northern Ireland, had business functions in Northern Ireland, that are seeing those business functions curtailed or even being forced to stop them. And again, I'm uncomfortable with saying that we. Or I don't think you are saying, but implying or allowing the perception that we care less for the businesses for whom the protocol doesn't work than the businesses for whom the protocol does work.
My point is that we should maximise the trade between the UK and Northern Ireland by negotiating with the EU to say, well, can we reduce the border checks on pork pies or whatever it is? But in exchange, we respect the fact that we've legally signed the protocol, and we want to make that work politically, that the economic opportunities the single market brings to Northern Ireland. So the people who resist it strongly, politically, the DUP and others in particular, can see that actually it's helping everybody, and we can all work together in greater harmony in accordance with what you said earlier about having a new sort of mood and actually brokering some real change and real opportunity without having to bang down the door and try and renegotiate an agreement when we signed one in international law already.
Oh, look, just because agreements are signed doesn't mean they can never be revisited, they can never be renegotiated. I think that's an important principle to remain to be reminded of, and indeed the protocol envisaged evolution and amendment, and that's written into the protocol. And I hear what you're saying about there being businesses and others that are very happy with the protocol, but I'm reminded that 60% of people who identify themselves as nationalists, 75% of people who identify themselves as unionists, and 60% of people who identify themselves as from neither community believe the protocol should be changed and that there should be no checks on imported goods. So the majority opinion in Northern Ireland agrees with what the UK government is trying to do.
Well, people. So no, if I may, just one more question on this, because if we're genuinely wanting to resolve this problem and sustain the peace process and not have a hard border in Northern Ireland, of course,
we're not having a hard border.
Obviously we would have one.
We're not having a hard border in Northern Ireland.
There's going to be a border one way or another, isn't there?
We are not having a hard border in Northern Ireland.
So is the government willing to reconsider our economy reconverging on the single market to make it easier? Because, basically, the people in Northern Ireland, you've just quoted all these figures, those people, the majority of people didn't want to leave the single market. They didn't even want Brexit. They've been forced into this now, and now they announce that all the protocol's awful, isn't it awful? And we should sort these problems out.
I am far from convinced that re-arguing the debate of 2016 and 2017 is
being
worthwhile.
in the single market, not Brexit.
Will
you accept? No, I'm not. Would you accept that Brexit and leaving the single market are different things?
From your very predictable
the decision was made, and we had a very protracted debate between 2016 and the 2019 general election. At the 2019 general election, the disposition about leaving the single market, leaving the customs union, was put to the British people, and the result was comprehensive. That debate has been settled.
Now, you've had your say.
That debate's been settled.
Unfortunately, it's not what the British people decided, nor for that matter is it to do with the fact that we've left the European Union. I know you didn't like that, but that's...
No, I'm just trying to sort out the problem.
That is as it may be.
We know what you think, yes.
Thank you.